Elon Musk bidding farewell, well, sort of. While he ended his time overseeing Doge today to focus on his many companies, President Trump says he will always be with us.
And Elon's really not leaving. He's going to be back and forth, I think. I have a feeling. It's his baby, and I think he's going to be doing a lot of things. But Elon's service to America has been without comparison.
I told you there'd be friends here at the family table. I want to bring them in. Senior political correspondent at the Wall Street Journal, Molly Ball. Nancy Cook, senior national political correspondent at Bloomberg. Also with us, CBS News White House reporter Olivia Rinaldi. And while we get ready to talk, because food is a constant part of the takeout experience, ladies and gentlemen, and because we're going to be talking about sausages and politics later in the show, here we go. We have sausages, we have mustard with that fancy takeout logo on it. And ladies, if you really do need to have utensils, I even brought utensils.
For a hot dog? Who eats a hot dog?
Only in case I didn't want to assume, I didn't want to mansplain my way through this sort of thing,
very
okay?
nice.
So I want to start with you, Molly, about Elon and Doge and its future. How do you assess it? What should be our national takeaway from this jarring experience with the most wealthy person in America running a cost-cutting effort within the federal government?
Yeah, I think Doge sort of hit the government like a wrecking ball when Elon first came into the government, which I think was probably the most unexpected development after Trump's inauguration. But he seems to be leaving without having accomplished very much of what he set out to do. And he has sort of tacitly acknowledged this, that he expects this effort to continue and to eventually achieve the $1 trillion in savings that he said he was going to get. But it's clearly not anywhere close to that yet. In fact, by some estimates, it's actually cost the government money because
Briefly,
of
why?
Because of all of the things they've had to take back after court setbacks and because of some of the lawsuits that they're facing. Look, if you worked for USAID, Doge has had a huge impact on your life and career and existence. But for the federal government writ large, for the bottom line of all of this spending that Elon said was so out of control, there has been very little discernible impact. And he has been reduced to describing it as more of a sort of vibes-based program. He says that it's like Buddhism, it's a way of life, and that's what will continue.
Let's listen to that very soundbite from Elon Musk. When you hear him say it, it kind of takes on a effect.
The Doge team will only grow stronger over time. The Doge influence will only grow stronger. I'd liken it to sort of Buddhism. It's like a way of life. So it is permeating throughout the government, and I'm confident that over time we'll see $1 trillion of savings and a reduction in $1 trillion of waste and fraud reduction.
Buddhism in the federal government, Nancy Cook.
I mean, I don't know if Doge will really take hold. Along with Musk sort of leaving the federal government, also 3 of his very top aides also left, with him. And there's so many people. I can't help but laugh as you eat that hot dog while I speak about Doge. But they have made major changes, as Molly said, to things like the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which they basically eviscerated, and also USAID, and they've made major changes at state. But I don't know if Doge will actually stick around. The cabinet secretaries hated it. A lot of top White House aides hated it.
Super big clashes between Elon and the Treasury Secretary.
Of course.
And Marco Rubio.
Yeah, and the Transportation Secretary, Sean Duffy. And so I think that this is, they're happy to see him go. Does Trump want Elon's money for the midterms? Absolutely. So there's going to be a lot of effort on the part of Trump world to maintain that relationship and not really throw Elon under the bus. But I don't think that anyone in the Trump orbit and the Trump inner circle is really sad to see him exit Washington.
Olivia, we played, as we went to break, soundbite from Senator Joni Ernst in Iowa at a town hall. I want to play the full soundbite, and I want to get your perspective on some of the potential political pitfalls as the big, beautiful bill advances. Let's listen.
Well, we all are going to die. So, for heaven's sakes, folks, okay, no, but what you don't want to do is listen to me when I say that we are going to focus on those that are most vulnerable. Those that meet the eligibility requirements for Medicaid, we will protect. We will protect them.
So, protection, but a line that is going to linger for a while, probably.
Certainly.
It's true, but politically.
Yeah, we're all going to die. And then later, the spokesperson following
fact check
up.
true.
Yeah, fact check true. Until Neuralink or Elon Musk creates something else that'll prolong your life
Everything
forever.
gets back to
Everything
Elon.
is around Elon. But later, her spokesperson followed up and said there's two certainties in life, and that's taxes and death, quoting Benjamin Franklin, of course, bringing it back to the big, beautiful bill, saying that, look, this new requirement on Medicaid is that you have to work, and this is to get out waste, fraud, and abuse, bringing it once again back to Elon Musk and trying to get out waste, fraud, and abuse in the government, saying, look, we're going to get rid of the people who shouldn't be on Medicaid, talking about undocumented immigrants. But if you're an undocumented immigrant, you can't get on Medicaid anyway. So that's already the barrier to entry. So the question really is, who is this going to impact? And we know the Congressional Budget Office has said up to 10 million Americans could be impacted by this. So we're seeing this in town halls with Joni Ernst. We've seen it around the country. Also, I found quite notable was her Democratic challenger said he was in the audience for that town hall today, and he said that was the number one thing he's been hearing. So Democrats, take heed.
Molly, there's been lots of conversation from the president the last couple of days about frustration with Vladimir Putin. Lindsey Graham, big Trump backer, South Carolina Republican, talking to reporters today about a bill he's had in his back pocket for a very long time, a sanctions bill that would dramatically increase sanctions on Russian energy. Let's listen.
The game that Putin's been playing is about to change. He's going to be hit and hit hard by the United States when it comes to sanctions.
Should this be viewed as a potential turning point, forcing something upon the Trump administration it's been reluctant to do?
I think not.
Okay.
I think the answer is no, because look, this Senate bill has 80 co-sponsors on both sides of the aisle. There is broad agreement in the United States Senate that we should be taking a more aggressive stance toward Putin. However, the reason Senator Lindsey Graham has not yet moved on this bill, as he said in a letter to the Wall Street Journal just this week, is that they are waiting for the green light from the Trump White House. And so this is a way of, they are trying to, I think, subtly push the Trump White House in this direction, and the sort of Russia hawks in the Republican Party have been encouraged by Trump's increasingly skeptical comments about Putin. But at the same time, they don't want to be seen as forcing his hand. They don't want to be seen as going over and around Trump to do something that he doesn't have the agency for. So this bill, Senator Graham says he wants to move it next week when the Senate is back in Washington. But I would be very surprised to see them actually take a vote or pass this bill before the White House has indicated that they are on board with this
And Nancy,
strategy.
very quickly, it would have an economic impact on Russia.
It absolutely would. But as Molly said, we've just seen President Trump be very reluctant to punish Russia in any way. Sort of economically, it just sort of standing up to Putin verbally. And so I'm just not sure that they'll want to do this either.
Very good. Molly Ball, Nancy Cook, Olivia Rinaldi. Nobody had a hot dog with me. I feel so alone. I feel so alone.